Okay, so we're just rinsing and repeating a lot of this stuff, but this one I'm going to do slightly differently. So this, if I unsolo it, this is going to be a block that goes in here. If I want to get some more detail into this one and maybe some of the others, so I'm going to do it in much the same way, but I'm going to add something on top. So right, I've got it selected. I'm going to solo it out. Going to dynamesh it up a bit. I'll probably divide it. I'll probably have to divide it a couple of times actually, because it's going to need to be fairly detailed to take the information we want. So I'm just going to do the same as before, trim dynamic. So that's the front view, that's what we want. I'm just going to zoom in on that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to actually drag a bit more detail, like a crest or something like that, onto here. So I'm actually going to use an alpha. So I've got an ornamental pack from Jonas Rongard, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, which is just a bunch of ornamental alphas. So an alpha is basically like a black and white image that's a height image, and you can kind of stamp it in. So here's some examples of how these things work, and they can save you a lot of time. So I'm going to drop one of those in. So the way we do that is we pick the brush we want to use. So in this case I'm going to use a standard brush, so BST, and if we just painted with that brush, that's what we would get, which you don't want. However, if we load an alpha in, so we can go to our alphas, import, and go and find it. So I've got it here. I'm going to grab maybe something like an ornamental flower, and I want to set the stroke to drag rectangle. And this means that if I set this in the middle and drag it out, it will essentially drop that in, as you can see. And the way you would change how that works is, you could change its intensity so that it comes in steeper, or you can barely tell it's there with that, but yeah, something like that. But you can create all kinds of details doing something like that. So I'm just going to constrain to there, make it intense, drop my flower in there, we'll go with that. So then the only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go over it and just slightly smooth it out, not as much as that. If I hold the shift button down, I can actually change the intensity of the smoothing. So I can push it down to about there, and then it means if I go around, just sort those edges out. Not quite as severe as it could be. I'll solo it again. Right, so from now on, what I need to do is more or less the same as what I've been doing before. I'm going to add some noise to that. So surface, apply noise. And then if I'm happy, I'll apply that to the mesh. In fact, I go back a step, I'm going to add a bit more geometry to that. Divide it one more time, and then I go to surface, apply it to the mesh. And then, as before, each polish brush. So the next one I'm going to drag in is, I'm just going to, from my orb pack, I'm going to bring in a different type of orb crack. So I'm going to load these brushes again, go back into the orb brush pack, and I'm going to get one of these slash brushes. And essentially these work in a similar way in that they've got an alpha and they're using drag rectangle, and they give you really quick cracks to work with, in the sense that you can just drop them in across an object. Drop one of those in across there, and these work well big like this, or also quite just small across surfaces like that. It's just little slash marks, and again, just to make those work in their own way, you can just go then back into the brush trim dynamic with a small brush and just carve out the impact that they have on the surface. The rest of this is just rinse and repeat.